Knows Best.
Hi, friends, and welcome back to Brenna Knows Best. I'm your host, Brenna Berg. Hi, how are you guys? Happy Friday. Hello, I missed you guys. First of all, I'm sitting here on my bed and I got this blanket in a PR package last week. God bless. I know I didn't use my own money. However, it's called Lola Blankets. I'm sure you've maybe seen it online from other influencers. It is literally the best blanket. I think they're like $130, but I 100% would buy it. Like, I am pretty sure I'm going to buy more of these. It's really big. It's just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It looks phenomenal. It feels phenomenal. It's like heavy, but it's like stretchy. I am obsessed. And actually, Maydog loves it too. And that is the ultimate test. If Maydog loves it, then it's perfect. Let's get into the week. Okay, I went home and I'm going to be a little bit depressing here for a second, and then we'll get to the lightheartedness of it and of the trip. But I will say going home these days is really kind of sad, and I'm realizing that I have some like internal feelings, and then seeing my family like, ugh, Brenna, you guys, I really don't want to be depressing, but I've been thinking a lot about this because I've been a literal emotional wreck. It started last weekend, obviously, when we were in California and brought Maydog back, and Maydog was sick. She was totally fine, you guys, when I left. Not totally fine, still like not her complete self, but she was getting better. She hadn't yelped. Well, Thursday rolls around and Carter was like, she yelped one time today because he stayed home. He stayed home Thursday and Friday and just worked from home. And then he calls me. Wait, no, that was Friday. Yes. Friday is when she yelped, and she started taking the medication Monday. She hadn't yelped since Tuesday. And I'm like, what's going on? Well, Saturday morning, Carter calls me. I'll get into like being home. I kind of am already jumping around. He calls me at like 7 a.m. And on a Saturday, Carter would not be up at 7 a.m., especially if I'm not here. And I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, she woke up and she looks the same exact way she did in California. That first day I noticed, she's like hunched. She's walking weird. She's hurt. And I'm like, oh, poor baby. And he's like, I booked an appointment at our VCA, and sweet little Carter, well, he is not in the wrong here. The VCA we go to, let me make up a road. Okay, let's say that it's the VCA Sweet Honey. Okay, Sweet Honey is the road, right? We go to the VCA, it's called Marbles. Let's say it's VCA Marbles, but it's on Sweet Honey Road. Well, there is also another VCA on Sweet Honey Road, but that one is called VCA Sweet Honey Road. Are you following? I don't want to like give out the location, which it's really not that big of a deal. What are you guys going to show up at my veterinarian? I am just trying to be cautious of my safety. But there are two VCAs on the same road. One of them is called the road and one of them is called something differently. It's like the neighborhood that it's in. Well, he booked it at a different one, which I think ended up being a great thing. He's like, I'm going to the VCA Sweet Honey. And I pull it up and I'm like, oh, that's not the right one. But our vet didn't have a single appointment available online. I don't know if they were closed, but it was Memorial Day weekend. Therefore, they were going to be closed on Sunday and Monday. Both of the VCAs weren't going to be open. And I'm like, okay, whatever, just get her in. Well, he takes her in and I'm immediately, so this is Saturday morning. I flew into North Dakota Wednesday night. So I'd been there Thursday, I'd been there Friday. This is Saturday morning, and I'll get to the depressing part in a little bit, but I get up and this is the day I went on a run. I'm on a run and Carter FaceTimes me. Well, he called me to update me as he was sitting in the vet. And I'm like, can you FaceTime me? Like, I want to see her. How is she doing? I'm just like a mess, right? I've cried so many tears over this dog. She's totally fine. But like, just seeing your dog in pain and her is like the saddest thing ever. And he's like, she's doing okay. They actually, though, want to do x-rays. And I'm like, oh, but I get it. Like, yes, I will pay any dollar amount. Well, it's going to be $3,000, not just the x-ray, but the x-ray, the medication, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, oh my God. Well, the vet comes in when we're on the phone and he's like, hey, my fiance's on the phone. Like, do you mind explaining this to her? That way she knows. And this veterinarian was so nice. She was like, hi, Brenna, like, this is what's going on. I think it's also like a muscle strain, but we do want to just make sure that it is like a muscle strain or like a pinched nerve or something. But she's like, I really want to make sure that nothing is wrong with the spine or the vertebrae because it's common in these dogs and so on and so forth. And I'm like, totally. Well, she tells me that the VCA it's not pet insurance. And for those who don't know, pet insurance is something that I don't know if it's always been around, but I'm hearing more about it recently. Basically, it's like any kind of insurance. You pay for pet insurance. I'm sure it's a monthly fee of God knows whatever one you get. That way, when you go to the vet, it's similar to like our own healthcare, our medical insurance. Like I pay $300 a month for my medical, for my insurance, for my health insurance, Brenna. I am so dumb at times. My health insurance, that way when I go in, I do the copay, but everything else is covered. Like I'm paying for that. Well, now there's pet insurance where like you pay, let's say $100 a month. That way when you go to the vet, it's like a copay, I think situation, or it's probably a little bit different, but then the pet insurance that you've been paying on monthly will cover the cost. Well, it's not that, which Carter and I have talked about recently because we took her to the vet, last week when she originally was hurt, but the VCA has something called the Care Club and you pay, I think it's like $100 a month, and it's not pet insurance. Like if something happens and let's say she needs teeth extracted, which I'm pretty sure she is going to need, that is not covered, but it does cover like 2, I think, blood works a year, exams whenever you want, certain vaccines, so on and so forth, which like now that May is 8 years old, I would like to start taking her regularly to the vet, just checkups and see how things are going. I don't know. We decided to pay for this because that visit that Carter went to would have been $3,000. It only ended up being like $360. I think the x-ray ended up being covered in it because you get allotted like a certain amount of like bigger exams. I don't really know. I need to do more research. But we are now going to pay $100 a month, which I think will be great. That way I can take her in, and I don't know. I would rather just invest in that and invest in her health and as she gets older, because also, arthritis is a potential situation that's happening right now. But anyways, this lady explains it and it's so funny. Carter was like, we had a few different phone calls while he was there. Like he would call me and say, this is happening. And then this is happening and so on and so forth. Well, he calls me back later and he told me about the Care Club thing. She didn't tell me that. He's like, okay, they offered this Care Club. Like, what are your thoughts on it? And he goes through what I just told you. And I'm like, yeah, I think we should do it. And he's like, well, good. I already told her yes, but I just wanted to run it past you. He already decided to do it. He's like, I was going to pay for it regardless because I think it's a good idea. And I'm like, okay, amazing. Totally. That's so fresh that you like were asking my opinion, knowing good and well that you already decided to do it. But anywho, here it goes. Maydog got a little bit sedated to do the x-rays. And by a little bit, I mean, she didn't go completely under, like they didn't knock her out, but she was heavily drugged. Y'all, they do the x-rays. They didn't see anything. Well, actually, they noticed that she has 2 vertebrae that are fused together. And like the veterinarian asked Carter if she had ever had a surgery, like where that would have been happening, like it got fused by, a surgery. And he's like, no, she's never had a surgery. She must have just been born that way, which is hilarious. The vet was like, that's crazy. And there was 2 vertebrae between 11 and 12. All of your vertebrae have like numbers like T. I don't know. Again, we talked about this last week, the thoracic, the lumbar. I'm sure it's a little bit different in dogs, but there is a tiny, tiny bit of IVDD between 11 and 12, which is the disease I told you about, intervertebral disc disease, but it's so slightly that the vet isn't worried about it. It's something to know. And she's like, you should just count on no longer letting her jump. Really, the jumping down off of like a couch or a bed is the worst part, like that impact of hitting the ground, but no jumping at all, which we already had bought in the stairs. I actually had to return those stairs yesterday. They were a little bit too tall for the couch because it's not like the tip of the stairs need to be at the couch level. I ended up going back on Amazon and buying a 3-tier step in beige. That way it comes up and then it's just right there that she can hop onto the couch, if you catch my drift. But anyways, Carter calls me after they leave. Okay, it was like $400. You know, I think the first month of the care club was like $160, and then whatever the medicines were like $160 or $260. It doesn't matter. I would pay $1 million for this dog. Let me make that clear. He calls me and y'all, he is dying. Like he is laughing harder than I've ever heard in my life. Well, she's so fucked up on these drugs. He's driving home and, you know, we have in the car where the speaker, it's sounding through the Wi-Fi or the Bluetooth or whatever the fuck that's called. She like cannot sit still. So she's like trying to, cause she loves to look out the window. He's like, she's trying to like step up, but she like has not like figured out how to move her body because she's so high. And he's like, Brenna, she's like staring off into the distance. He's cracking up. I should post the story on my story. I should post the video on my story. They get home. He calls me again. He's crying. He's like, I let her down right as we got in and she like wouldn't walk. I'm honestly so pissed that I wasn't here to see this because, which actually the vet was like, while she's sedated, let me go in and look at her teeth. Her teeth are nasty, you guys, and that's on me. I don't know how to care for her teeth. I guess I should have been brushing them, but they set up an appointment for June 10th to go in and do like a teeth cleaning and potentially a extraction, which whatever. Again, I don't want my sweet little angel baby to have gum disease, but I have to take her in for that, which actually is in a couple of weeks. That's like 2 weeks away. Anywho, Carter sends me this video and Maydog is sitting in her bed on the couch and she's like high as a kite. Okay, well, he has like a little piece of food, something, I don't know if he was eating or I'm not really sure what it is, and he's holding it between his fingers. I'll post this on my story tomorrow. I wasn't sure if it was going to be like a bad look, but it's just his hand and he puts it in front of her face. You guys, her eyes are barely open. She's just staring. And in normal circumstances, she would immediately like, you know, eat the little thing of food or be interested in it. She's just staring at it and he's holding it right in her face. Oh, the sweet baby. And you can hear Carter in the background. He's like, oh my gosh, it's so sad. But he's like dying laughing. Well, then he pulls it away. Okay. And then all of a sudden she looks over at him and her eyes are like wide open. They had just been closed and he bursts out laughing and then he brings it back. He's like, oh, did you want it? And she kind of looks at it again and then slowly her eyes shut and she just like, oh my gosh. He's like, Brenna, she was insane. And honestly, they bonded so much over this whole situation. I'm so happy for them. But that's Maydog. So she was heavily drugged that day. She did eat that night. The vet wasn't sure if she would or not. And then they woke up. Oh, well, let me catch you up now to my stay at home. I fly into North Dakota on Wednesday night. I filmed last week's episode on Wednesday. I fly in Wednesday night and my dad picks me up and we go out to my dad's house in Lincoln, my childhood home, and I stay there the whole entire time. I wake up Thursday and of course I immediately go to LaDonna and Gordy's. If you don't know, LaDonna and Gordy are my grandma and grandpa on my dad's side, but it's my dad's stepmom. LaDonna is not my blood-given grandmother, which is honestly like so upsetting and I don't want to fucking talk about it, but she is my dad's stepmom. However, they've been married, I think since 88 or 89, right when my dad, he graduated high school in 88. And that means my whole entire life, LaDonna has been my grandma. And then Gordy is my dad's dad. And anywho, I love them with all of my heart. I don't understand or really know why they have such a special place. I mean, they're incredible and they're amazing. But sometimes I talk to Carter's mom about this and she's like, well, they probably took a lot of care of you, you know, when you were a kid because of the divorced parents. And yes, but like, no, but they showed up to like every sporting event. My dad raced cars until last year, and him and my grandpa did that together. I guess we did spend a lot of time, but they are just the best. And like, me and LaDonna just have such a special relationship. Oh my gosh, you guys, if I get emotional, this is what I'm saying. I've been so emotional, and I really don't understand what's going on with me, because I'm the least emotional bitch ever. And I'm not saying that as a flex. I think women who can like cry and like be sappy is amazing. It's just not me. However, when May got hurt last weekend in California, I was like crying on that whole flight back. I told you that, and I was just like so upset and like so sad. Well, it's just continuing on. But anywho, Thursday, LaDonna and we sat around the house for a really long time, and that's all I do. And this is the depressing part. It's like going home. Number one, I think I've always felt a lot of guilt for leaving, which my life would not be what it is. And I love my life so much. And every single year of my life has gotten better ever since I really graduated high school, I would say, or graduated college. But I do feel kind of bad for like leaving my family. Like, I have this really close relationship with LaDonna and Gordy. Oh my gosh, you guys, like literally I'm already emotional right now. What the fuck is going on? I don't get it. I don't know. And if I cry, just pretend that I'm not. I love them so much. And the part that's really sad, oh my God, you guys, you can hear it in my voice. Okay, I'm going to get through this and then it'll be happy again. Obviously they're older, and my grandfather specifically he just broke his hip, which we talked about a long time ago on the podcast. That was last year. He has COPD, which I think has made the recovery process harder, but he does like have a really hard time breathing. And number one, going back and forth, like I see my family maybe 3 times a year if I'm lucky. Now that they're getting so much older and are older, and even my dad and mom, like I can see them aging, and that is just like something. When you're a kid, like my dad and mom, you don't pay attention and you're with them every day, and like you don't really notice them getting older. But now that I'm 28, and obviously like my dad's 55, he just turned 55, and like Gordy just turned 80, and LaDonna is like 74. LaDonna honestly is doing amazing. Like every time I see her, not much has changed. I feel like she's the same. She does have Graves, which is like a thyroid issue. She's had that since she was like in her 40s or 50s. So again, as long as I've been alive, she's taken like medication. Or wait, maybe she got diagnosed in the early 2000s, but still, I was a young kid. As long as I can remember, she's had Graves, and it's gone up and down and so on and so forth. She has health issues, but like overall she gets around pretty well. She can drive, like things are good. But Gordy, and that makes me so sad, and like it's just so. Then I go to this place and I feel like so bad that I left and that I'm so far away. Like I could have stayed in North Dakota and been close to them, and like I know that I value them, and I have such this special relationship. I know it's the same to them, and it's just so sad. Y'all, I haven't even hit, oh my gosh, the other day I went to the grocery store, and I'm going to tell you this story. I was sobbing. Poor Carter. Well, anyways, okay. That's all I want to say about that. We hang out all day and we sit around, and that's just kind of what my family does in general. But LaDonna and I did. She loves to garden. She loves flowers. She loves plants. We go to this store in Bismarck called Plant Perfect. It is a huge nursery. Is that what you call them? Like a nursery? Oh, is that what it's called? Whatever. Where there's plants and trees and vegetables and flowers and whatever. This place was ginormous. We start outside and they have trees, which LaDonna and Gordy want to put trees in their yard. This neighborhood that they just bought their house in is brand new. Therefore, it was like kind of leveled, I'm sure, before they started building. So there's not really trees and things yet, other than if their neighbors have planted them in their own yards. And now that they live there, obviously they can do the same, and they want to put a tree in the front and a tree in the back. We looked at those. Then we come around and then we go down all of the aisles. LaDonna was trying to like recreate this like little flower plant situation, because right now she just has potted plants. If you're not a gardener, and I'm not either. I think once I get older, that would be a hobby that I can get into. When I was a kid, I would help my mom and my dad and LaDonna with the garden. I would go up to the farm. Like, I'm very aware, but it's not like, I know a lot of girls and guys that like to have like plants in their apartment. I'm just not there. Like, it's just not something I'm super interested in. But once I was around LaDonna again, I, get back into it. But obviously the winter in North Dakota kills everything. And LaDonna wasn't able to take the plants from her old house to her new house. Number one, because it was October and the ground was about to freeze. Number two, the house sold so fast and the people moved in, and the lady told her she could come back when she wanted to get her plants, but turns out it's not really the case. She's kind of been blowing LaDonna off, which I get it. You bought this house. It's her and her husband. I think it's a younger couple. LaDonna's obviously kind of like, and she doesn't want to overstep. She's annoyed, but she gets it. And their yard is now so much smaller than the one before. And the house next door, or there's a house to their left, and then there's a lot to their right that they're building the house now. It's all, you guys, dirt, and they had just gotten 6 inches of rain, mud. And that is naturally kind of coming into their yard because it's right next door. And therefore she hasn't been able to put anything into the ground yet because it's so muddy and gross. Once that house gets built, which it'll take all summer, therefore she probably won't really be able to do it until maybe the end of the summer or next year. But she has a ton of pots and she moves them in and out because it's so windy in North Dakota and it's cold. Like, it was hot. I told you guys it was 90 degrees, and then it snowed last week. It's just so unpredictable. But anyway, we go to Plant Perfect and we buy a few plants and we walk around. Literally, we were there for probably an hour and a half. At one point, I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. But LaDonna was loving it, and therefore I was loving it. We then come home and we offered for my dad and his girlfriend Pam to come over. The Timberwolves are in the playoffs. Ooh, actually, now that we're mentioning that, I wonder if they play. Wait, Timberwolves, did they play last night or do they? Oh, OKC won. Yeah, they just beat the Timberwolves in the playoffs. Therefore, the Timberwolves are done. But naturally, being in North Dakota, the closest teams we have to us are all of the Minnesota teams. So the Minnesota Wild, Vikings, Timberwolves, and Twins. And that's who we root for. And my family is very much a sports family. They love watching sports. They love getting invested. I think also because it's so goddamn cold in that state in the wintertime, what else are you doing? They also love NASCAR, which we'll get into. But the Timberwolves were in the semifinals, which is crazy. I guess they were really good this year. They beat the Lakers, which is insane. But when I was a kid, they were never really that good. I mean, they were fine, but it's a big deal that they were in the semifinals. Okay. Therefore, my family is watching the games, obviously. So we invited my dad and Pam. I think they played on Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Oh, maybe I'm off. Maybe that was, it was Thursday. They play every other day. It was Thursday because I flew in Wednesday night. We invited them over. I'm trying to remember what we had for dinner. Oh, my dad suggested that he picks up Pizza Hut. Him and Pam come with Pizza Hut. We all eat and then we watch the basketball game. And something that's so precious is my brother is very into basketball. I think he kind of fell off. He doesn't really watch the Vikings or anything else. He was never big into hockey, but he does love the Timberwolves and basketball. Well, apparently him and LaDonna text every single game. And my brother, of course, just says funny things like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be sick. Or oh wow, this person is foul. Or this person is such a flopper, and LaDonna loves it because they're always watching the game, and it just makes me so happy. I know my relationship with my grandparents is a little bit different, but my brother and her, when the Timberwolves are playing, they text and keep up, and that just makes me happy. We watched the whole game. So LaDonna's texting back and forth with my brother, and she's literally cackling. He's really not saying that funny of stuff, but she just loves him and loves his little texts. And then I go home and I wake up Friday morning. I go back to LaDonna and Gordy's. Obviously, my dad worked not only Thursday and Friday, but he works Saturday. He still works one Saturday a month, and it just so happened to be the Saturday, which I guess it is what it is. But I go to LaDonna and Gordy's on Friday. Oh, then LaDonna and we asked Pam to come. We went to Kobe's, which is like a Japanese situation. And then Friday night, I was having dinner at my mom's house, and she gets done working at 5. Therefore, I was like, I'll be there, shortly after. I dropped the pizza leftovers off at my dad's house. That way he had dinner, which I don't think he ate them. And then I went to my mom's at 5. And I'm not really going to disclose too much information. Again, my mom drinks a lot, and this is another depressing part of going home, is like, that was really eye-opening. Like, I haven't spent a lot of time out there, and I've told you guys before, my stepfather, who passed due to alcoholism in 2021, he was an alcoholic, and therefore, like, that's what him and my mom did. And my mom, it's just sad. And, alcoholism is a disease. But all of my feelings aside, me and my mom used to have a great relationship. Like, me and my mom never fought. I mean, it was never too close. Like, I know so many girls that talk to their moms about everything. They call their moms every single day. They talk about, work and boys and relationship and friendship. We never really had that, because once I got into high school, my mom's relationship with my stepdad was always not very good. I mean, he was an alcoholic. They didn't really love each other. Every relationship in my family, there is nobody that I look at in my family and think, wow, I want that relationship. Not a single one. And I think this is probably common for a lot of people, a lot of loveless marriages, which is honestly so sad and so sick, and why I never thought I would get married, because I'm like, why the fuck would I get married to somebody that, like, I don't want to be with? Because that's all I've seen. Well, all of that to say, when I got into high school, when I start like with friendships and relationships, my mom just like hated her life so much and started drinking more. Not as much as my stepdad, but we never had a close relationship like that. But I would go to my mom's house and like hang out, and she was hilarious, and we would like watch TV, and it was fine. And as I've gotten older, the alcohol has really taken over, and she doesn't see it that way. And therefore our relationship, I just can't, it's hard for me to be around. It's hard for me when we're talking on the phone. Like, I understand that she's under the influence, and it just really upsets me and like makes me very angry, and not angry at her, but the situation. And therefore our relationship is just strained. But I go there on Friday night. We were having crab legs. Well, she has a boyfriend who lives with her, and I'm not even going to get into that. He didn't get home until 8 or 8:30. I digress. My mom didn't start boiling the water until like literally 9, you guys, and it's a huge pot. We ate dinner at 9:30. But again, the life that she lives is just so odd to me, because I live like a normal life. I'm in bed. I guess it's not normal to go to bed at 8 p.m., but like, when you're living that kind of lifestyle, they stay up like really late. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that. That was super depressing also, to really take a good look, because I was there from like 5 to 10. That's the most amount of time. I've told you in the past over Christmas that she smokes cigarettes in the house. I guess not often, apparently. Like, when I'm there, she's not, but that smell, it takes one cigarette and it's embedded into everything. Like, I asked her if we could sit outside for a while, and I was throwing this ball. They have a little scruffy fucking dog. I don't know what it is, Annie. And I was playing with Annie, but that was that. It's fine. I go home. I obviously shower, because that smell, it gets into your hair. Anywho. Well, Friday is when Maydog was hurt. So I wake up Saturday. Carter calls. I'm like emotional, right? I'm like, not okay. He's at the vet. They're going to do x-rays. I'm like, is she going to be okay? Is it safe to sedate her? Well, I drive over to LaDonna and Gordy. So I go on a run, and then I go in, and I'm like crying on my way there, but I tried to stop it because I didn't want to walk into LaDonna and Gordy's house sobbing my eyes out, right? I kind of get my act together, but I'm still just so on edge, similar to how I was basically just crying at the beginning of this episode. I don't know what it is right now, but like something just has me on edge. I walk into the door, right? And I had my clothes because I wanted to wash them in their washer and dryer because again, the smoke is like in them. And I'm like, I'm not going to combine all of my clothes. Let me just do a little load of laundry. I walk in the door and LaDonna goes, hey, how was crab legs last night? Just hearing LaDonna's voice, like, you know how when you're with somebody you love, like, it's like similar to when Carter says, I love you, or like something when I'm emotional and it just makes me cry more. The first words LaDonna said was, hey, how was crab legs? I'm sobbing. You guys, I like have never cried that hard in front of them. And I'm like, I'm fine. And she's like, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have asked about the crab legs. And she thought I was upset over my mother because she knows the situation, which is probably a part of it. Like, again, just going home was so depressing, but then May is also hurt. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I'm such a hot mess. I like go down the hallway because I don't want them to see me crying. Gordy's just sitting there and he's like, what the fuck? Because I really try not cry in front of people, and that's so stupid. And this is what I was saying about like girls who are in tune with their emotions and like okay crying. I think that's phenomenal. I'm just not that bitch. And really, I don't cry often. While I'm crying, LaDonna, like all of a sudden I see her hand. She's like holding out a Kleenex. I'm like, I'm fine. Like May's at the vet, and then LaDonna's like, oh my gosh, May's at the vet. Well, now she's crying. I'm like, no, it's okay. But like, whatever. And then I finally come to, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, you guys. I just feel bad. And LaDonna's like, no, I get it, because they've always been dog people. They've always had dogs until both of theirs passed when I was in college. And like, yes, they could have had dogs since then, because when was that? I don't know. They've always just been scared because they're so old. Like the dogs are going to outlive them. Therefore, they've never gotten more. But they always had dogs when I was growing up. And LaDonna especially is like a dog person, like a dog over human person. But anyways, we hang out again. LaDonna and I go to the Barnes and Noble in Bismarck. Here is the thing. Barnes and Noble used to be in this building, and it was big, and they had a cafe, and it was nice. Well, that closed for whatever reason, and then they moved the Barnes and Noble into the mall, and LaDonna talks pretty consistently about how depressing it is, and she's like, Brenna, I don't want to take you there, but I think we should go buy some books. She just read The Women by Kristen Hanna, and she wanted to get it in a hardcover, similar to how I did that. I read mine on Libby, but then I wanted to have the physical copy. She's been looking for it, but literally, you guys, they have a Barnes and Noble, and they have Owl Bookstore, something like that, which is like a secondhand, and that's it. Bismarck is honestly just depressing in and of itself. They just have nothing. They have no anything, but we go, and our mall, the Kirkwood Mall in Bismarck, it's changed so much. Like they've gotten and lost stores. They actually had an H&M, which they've never had cool stores. We never even had so much as like a Forever 21. Okay, I shouldn't say that's a cool store, but like we especially never had Nordstrom, Zara, nothing of the sort. Like the only things we had when I was a kid, I think we had like Abercrombie. We had like Maurice's, which is like an older woman's store, or I thought it was when I was a kid. We had J.C. Penney's, but like nothing. They now have an H&M, which I wonder how it's doing. But LaDonna couldn't remember the door. It's like a T almost. It's kind of in the shape of like a T or an X with like rounded sides. LaDonna was like, I cannot remember what door it was, but once you walk in, it's like right there. And she kept like putting out her arm. I'm like, Grandma, I don't know what that means. Like if we don't go in the right door and it's not right there, like whatever this means, she's like right there with her arm. Anyway, we go in to one door and she's like, okay, if it's where I think it is, it should be like right there. It wasn't there. She's like, wrong door, because she just did not want to walk through the mall. Like LaDonna's not a shopper. She's not like, we want to get in and get out. Well, anyways, we leave. We then walk over to a different, or no, I drive over to a different door and we walk in and she's like, it should be like right there. And she's like, bingo, it's right there. We go into Barnes and Noble. You guys, it was like so small and so scrunched and like honestly just very fucking depressing, if we're just being very blunt here. And so we walk in and LaDonna looks at me and she said, see, is this not the most depressing thing you've ever seen? LaDonna is just such a little fireball, and she's obviously lost a little bit of it as she's gotten older, but she's hilarious. Have I ever told you guys? Yeah, I'm sure I've said this a million times. She's like 5'1" and like 100 pounds. So she like, compared to me, I'm 5'9" and like 150. She's like just like my little mini cutie pop. Like she's just the best. Well, immediately I'm like, okay, grandma, I see the women. And she's like, oh my God, thank God. She grabs that. Then we look around and it was kind of busy, but it wasn't busy. Like I would never say that about a different store, but because it's so small, it just was so scrunched. And anywho, we go over. LaDonna also grabbed the Nightingale and she's like, Brenna, I want you to get books. Like if I'm getting books, you're getting books. And obviously she's paying. I grabbed Lock Every Door by Riley Sager. And then I also grabbed The Winter Garden by Kristen Hanna. I'm like, these are good. I've heard wonderful things. I love Riley Sager. I love Kristen Hanna. Those are going to be next up on the docket after I finish A Court of Silver Flames. This has taken me so long. Honestly, the investment, remember I bought the set. It was $50. These books have lasted me like 2 months to read at least, if not more. And they're good. Don't get me wrong. And I'm finally in the thick of it. Last night I was sitting in bed. Carter was at his laptop and I gasped because if you've read it, and I hope I don't spoil anything for anybody who might potentially read it, but Nesta, because this 5th book is in Nesta's perspective, you know, the sister, the cunty sister. She told Feyre, I was at the point where she told her that her baby has wings and that it's going to be, you know, potentially life ending, and nobody else had told her. And it like really hit Feyre in the chest. I was like, oh, because I was like, no, she's like really, you know, she's trying to come around and not be so cold. And then she did that. And I'm like, God damn it. Carter asked me, he's like, what's going on? And to explain to him the situation, I kind of had to start from the very first book. I'm like, okay, Feyre was a human in the Mortal Lands. And once I was going through it, explaining it to him, he's like, what the fuck is this book? And I said, I don't know. And I didn't realize how hard it was to kind of explain the whole situation, like the High Lord and that she's now a part of this court and this and that. I'm like, babe. Anyways, basically her sister just said something so cruel to her that they were keeping from her because they were trying to find a way for her to have this baby without it, you know, potentially being life ending. And he's like, oh, wow. Anyway, that's where I am. Her and Cassian literally just went into the mountains for like 4 days and went on that hike. And she finally just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed and was like, I need to stop being such a cunt. Okay, that's where I am in the book. But anyways, I picked up those 2 books. I'm so excited to read them. I'm excited to just get a different genre. Like, you guys know I'm not really a romancy. I like this kind of fantasy. It helps. I definitely still prefer Fourth Wing. Like, that dragon aspect of it is just chef's kiss. Like, I loved the dragons. But anywho, LaDonna and I get the books. We go home and there's another Timberwolves game because, you know, there was one on Thursday and then that meant there was one on Saturday. We invited my dad and Pam. They came over. Gordy made pork chops. And that whole entire day, you guys, because that was the morning I found out that May was like not okay. I was thinking about changing my flights because my flight wasn't until Monday afternoon. I still had a full fucking day and a half after Saturday to sit around and be with my family. And I felt bad. And this is the other guilt part. Like, I was supposed to see my mom on Sunday night for dinner. We were going to go to like TGI Fridays or something. And also my dad worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I only had Sunday with him. And if I left, like I kept going back and forth. I was like, I could leave Monday morning, but I just so badly wanted to get home to May. And of course I miss Carter, but like May was hurt. I just was like unwell. It was all I could think about. I also have now been sitting around doing nothing for 3 days in a row, which I know when I go home, this is just like all the conflicting feelings that I have. I feel bad leaving my family. I feel bad that I cut my trip a little bit shorter. So therefore I did change my flight to the day in advance. So Sunday afternoon, I texted my mom Sunday morning. I'm like, Mom, I'm going home. Like May, you know, was sedated yesterday. And I'm just like, it's consuming my thoughts, which it was. But I went to breakfast with my father on Sunday and that was really nice. Therefore, we got time together and then we went home and he like fell asleep and napped because of course we turned on the NASCAR race or the IndyCar 500, the Indianapolis 500, and he naps because yeah, it's fucking boring. My family pretends like they love NASCAR and it's like, no, you nap every time. Anywho, I do love racing and that also like I forgot how much knowledge I have in the racing sphere, but Anywho, me and my dad go to Denny's. We have breakfast, we chit chat, and then he brought me to the airport at like 1 p.m. Oh my gosh, you guys. I get to the airport and I do feel bad because I was like sad. I didn't really cry yet, but I was still having like these emotional feelings. I was like really eager to get home. I'm just like, the Bismarck airport just puts me in a different mode because every single time, not mode, I apologize, they take my bag and like go through it. And I fly decently often. I know that all of my stuff is good and I don't have anything that's above the size. But because the Bismarck airport sees like maybe 100 people a day, they have nothing better to do than to like go through your stuff and do a pat down. Anywho, I go up this escalator and I go to TSA pre, and I'm standing in the TSA pre line, even though the general boarding has nobody in the line. Well, the place where you get checked in and then you go to the metal detector, there's like not that much space. So 4 people go through and then they're like, can you wait? And I'm like, oh my God, this place is honestly such a joke. Well, I'm standing here and then in the general boarding, a girl comes up next to me and I don't look at her, but I see her in my periphery and I feel like she's looking at me. Well, anyways, like I'm grumpy. I am in my sweatsuit. I like want to be home. I'm like sad. I finally get called to show them my boarding pass, and then I go through the metal detector. I go through, they take my bag, and you fucking stand there for forever as they do the bags through the thing, because again, they're making sure that everybody is not bringing in something illegal. I don't know what they're doing, but I'm sitting there. I went through the thing and I'm waiting on my bag. Well, this girl, the one that was by me, she walks past me to just also stand and wait. And she's looking at me and I look at her. And like when I first looked at her, I just probably had a grumpy look on my face. But then I smiled at her, obviously. Like she was looking at me. She kind of had a slight smile. I smiled. And of course, I'm like, is this, is it somebody I went to high school with? Because I always see people I know. Bismarck's pretty small. Whatever. She walks past. She kind of holds eye contact for a while. And I smile. And I'm just sitting there. Well, my bag is finally coming and they didn't take it back to get checked. And so I walk up and then the girl comes up next to me and she's like, hey, she's like, is your name Bria? I'm like, yeah, Brenna. And she's like, oh my gosh, I see you on TikTok. And I'm like, oh yes, that is me. That is me, which I wasn't expecting that because I'm in Bismarck. Again, I thought like a classmate or something. Like that wasn't where my head went. She's like, oh my gosh, you're so funny. I love your videos. And then we start talking and her bag came out. And so we go and sit down together. We're, chatting. I'm like, are you from here? And she's like, no, this is my first time here. I went to Fargo to visit a friend, but I'm flying back to Charlotte. But I have this connection in Dallas, obviously, because Bismarck does not fly direct to Charlotte. And we sit and chat. And she was like the cutest little thing. She's 22. She just graduated. She's originally from Germany. Maybe I shouldn't tell all of her information, but we were just chatting about like dating and religion and like so many things. And honestly, it was like the perfect distraction. I think if I didn't see her and I just sat there and I'd be thinking about my family and leaving, I would be so sad or just like annoyed and grumpy. But we chatted the whole entire time. I really wanted to get a Coke Zero because I hadn't had, besides my cup of coffee at Denny's, I hadn't had like caffeine or anything. But it was like 2 p.m. I'm like, I don't need like an energy drink or something, but I just kind of wanted a tasty drink. And I'm like, do you want to sit here and watch our bags and I can get you something? Or do you mind walking over here? Of course, it's like not even 10 feet away. The airport has 2 gates. Let me remind you, it has 2 literal gates. It's just like this long, narrow little situation. And she's like, oh, I'll come with. I'm like, please grab something. Like, let me get you, a drink or a snack, whatever. She just grabbed a water and I got it for her. Obviously, she was just like so cute and fresh. And then we sat there. I probably showed up like maybe 30 minutes early, 20 minutes early before boarding. We go on and we talked about like changing seats. Honestly, she was so sweet and fresh, but I kind of just wanted to like read and zone out. And she was like row 12. I was the last row, 23, because I had changed my flight to be on this and therefore it was the only one that was open. But she gets to her row and she gives me a hug. She was like, it was so nice to meet you. And she was honestly so fresh. But yeah, so I made a little friend at the airport. I fly home and then Carter comes and gets me and he left me at home again because we don't want her like standing and getting excited. We're just like really trying to keep her like on 4 legs, not jumping. We get home and I just get to snuggle my little freaking Tootsie Wootsie and all was right in the world. But like, oh my gosh, you guys, when I left LaDonna and Gordy's on Saturday night, I had changed my flight already. Therefore, I wasn't going to see them on Sunday. And naturally, like, I try and hold it together with them. But the second I get in the car, I'm like bawling my eyes out because I just love them so much and I miss them. And I feel bad that I'm so far away and they're getting older. And like, of course, my mind just goes there. Well, I call Carter immediately to like make me feel better. He answers, this is Saturday night. And I'm like, immediately like sobbing, and he's like, babe, what's going on? And I'm like, I can't even like talk. I'm crying so badly, and I'm driving home, and he's like, oh, like he felt so bad, and I'm like unwell, right? Y'all, Monday comes around and I go and get groceries. Did Carter work? I think he did a little bit of work, but not really. We're just hanging out. I go to Central Market. Oh my God, like this is going to make me cry my eyes out, and maybe we'll just cry together right now. You guys won't find this as sad as I did. The part where I went wrong, again, my emotions are still a little bit high. I pull into the parking lot and my phone was on shuffle, and the song Till You Can't by Cody Johnson comes on. And let me tell you, basically it's about like, you can always do, things until you can't. And one of the lines that he says at the very beginning is like, you can always, oh frick, now I'm going to forget how it goes. But basically it's like, okay, let me get it together. You can tell your old man you'll do some more round fishing another time. You just got too much on your plate to bait and cast a line. You can always put a rain check in his hand until you can't. Like, they're dead. Hello. So naturally the song comes on. I'm literally pulling into Central Market and I like immediately change it because I think of my grandpa. I also like my parents, my dad is a diabetic. My mom obviously is now in the alcoholism, and like, I fear that they might pass younger. Oh my gosh. Like, this is so depressing. Brenna, shut the fuck up. I questioned if I wanted to talk about all of these things because I don't want to make other people sad. But when I go home, like these things, especially now as I'm seeing them age, it just like is so not prevalent, but I'm just so aware of it. Anyway, that song comes on and I'm like, holy fuck, next, right? Because I'm already getting like teary-eyed. I'm like, oh, it's similar to the song. Is it Tim McGraw? Where it's like the whole song is talking about like this plumber, comes in and, his kids are grown. Oh, what is that song called? It's not Don't Blink. That's Kenny Chesney. Anywho, another song that like literally could make me cry. Well, that comes on and I'm like, no, 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 no. I walk into Central Market. I'm going through the aisle. I'm already like gonna cry, you guys. I'm over by the apples and there's this older gentleman and I'm seeing him from behind. So there's this gentleman and he's holding a cart, or he's like at the cart, pushing it. And he immediately reminds me of Gordy. Like, he's tall, he's skinny, because Gordy's like probably 6'2". He's skinny, he's got like white hair. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't take this. Like, this is my grandfather. Of course, I just got back from being home. I'm like sad. Well, I look at him and as I'm like staring at him, I'm realizing he's looking down. And at Central Market, when you do produce, you put your apples or whatever the thing is on one of those weight things. You type in the code and then it prints out a sticker, and then you slap the sticker on your bag that you put the fruit in. And then that's how you check out with it. Well, between this man's feet, you guys, is a sticker. And so he's really old. Like, I think he's probably older than Gordy. He's like late 80s, if I had to guess, or mid 80s. And he's got, his thick like Velcro shoes on, but the sticker is right between his feet. And he's like, he kept stepping on it with one to pull it off of the other. It's like stuck to his shoe. And I see him and I'm like, oh my God. And so I go up to him and I'm like, sir, can I help you? Like, he's sitting there. I'm like, oh my God, if he falls, like something's gonna happen. He's like, yeah, I'm just too old. I can't lean down. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I lean down and he kind of lifts his foot, and then I pull this sticker off and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, this sweet man. Like, somebody help him, in the grocery store was so busy. And I don't cry then. I'm like, when you see TikToks and people are like crying over old people like on a date, or an old man by himself, and like people cry and then the comments are like, old people are probably like, what the fuck are you crying for? Like, they're fine. They're totally fine. And I was like, I'm not going to cry here. Like, I need to get through. I still have a lot of things to get. And I get all of my groceries and I get out into the car and I just like start crying. I'm like, it wasn't that sad. He was fine. But like, he was sitting there shuffling and I watched him for like a good probably 30 seconds before I like realized what was happening. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, he cannot bend down. Like somebody, and I was like, whatever, it's on the ground. I'm going to like kind of touch his shoe, but like, I'm going to help this man, obviously. And I grab it and he thanked me. He's like, I'm just too old. I'm like, sir, I can't, like, I would love to sit and chat, but I'm literally going to start crying. Anyway, I get home, right? And I like have been crying the whole car ride and I can't stop. Like, I don't understand. I'm like, not okay. I get in the door and I hear Carter. He's like, hey, because he was at his computer, and I unload the groceries. I'm still like on and off tears. And I come into the room and Carter turns his head and like, obviously I just have like water running down my eyes. And he's like, babe, what's going on? And I'm like, oh my God, there was this old man and I hugged. And he was like, you're so sweet, but like, what the fuck is going on? Well, he didn't say what the fuck is going on, but he's like, babe, and he like held me, and then I just like cried some more. I don't know what's going on with me. I don't know if I'm pregnant. I don't know if I just all of a sudden at 28 am like developing like empathy and like feelings and like tears, but something is going on. Anyway, let's get into something a little bit less depressing. Number one, I wanted to complain about this girl that I sat next to on the plane. Y'all. And we're going to get into a deeper conversation of this because Carter and I talk about this all the time. I get on the plane to go to North Dakota and I get on and I'm whatever F and it's a window aisle. Number one, I'm constantly checking the app. I have been on planes. I know the seats. I know how to read the thing above the seats. I walk on, okay, and there's a girl in my seat. Not only that, there is this girl in my seat, and obviously she's probably just the one next to me. I'm like, hi. And I was trying to be polite. I was like, I think I'm in that seat. Like, I'm F. That's the window. And there's a man behind us in the row behind, like my age. And he's like, yeah, F is the window. But not to her, like to me, because I was like, I think, me trying to be polite. I'm like, I think it's the window. I fucking know it's the window. I was trying to be nice. And this guy like corrects me. I'm like, okay, jackass. Anywho, she moves. Okay, she gets out so I can get in, and she is next to me, or nobody carded her. I have no idea. We take off, right? And I'm reading my book, and this is on me. I typically have my noise canceling headphones, but I only brought that backpack of stuff. Therefore, I didn't fit them in. It wasn't a priority. I'm like, whatever. When I'm just reading, not that big of a deal. This girl right next to me, the one who sat in my seat, is singing aloud. She is singing out loud. She has headphones in, but she's literally singing next to me, and I could not focus. And I'm like, what the fuck? Me and Carter talk about all the time how we don't impose ourselves on other people. And something that is irritating to the both of us is when other people impose themselves on us. Like, like you're not supposed to play your audio out loud on an airplane. It's like anywhere. I honestly even hate it. Like when I'm on the Katy Trail and somebody's like blasting music, whether they're running or on a bike, like it's so often that somebody zooms past and their speaker is on. I'm like, why are you doing that? Like put headphones in. Like why are you imposing other people to this? Like either have headphones or don't blare. Like I just feel like it's not that big of a deal, but it is annoying to me. Things like that. Like people don't know what they're doing. There was also a little kid behind me again, because I was like in the last row, that had his like iPhone on, but I think he was like an unaccompanied minor. I don't really know how that works, but I think he was like with a man. Like somebody gets put in charge of a kid. Therefore, it wasn't like a family member. It was just somebody helping him get from A to Z. And that makes me think that nobody told him to shut it off. I'm like, what the frick? Then we land. Okay. And we're waiting. I'm peaceful. Another thing, you wait your turn, proper plane etiquette. But the girl next to me, again, I'm annoyed because she's literally been singing like the entire flight. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? She gets up and I'm just like inching out. All I have is my bag to grab, and I'm sitting there waiting on her, and she's grabbing her bag from up above. And I'm not even like, I'm not in the aisle. I'm just like in her seat. Like I just moved over one. That way when she grabs her bag, I can get up and go. Again, I'm efficient. Like let's move. Well, she's reaching up, like her bag must be kind of right above me, a little bit slightly to the front. And she looks at me and I'm like not in her way at all. I'm literally in her seat. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. And she kind of grabs her bag and is like annoyed with me. I'm like, I'm just trying to be efficient so these people behind us don't have to wait. Like, move, like, grab your bag. Why'd you give me a dirty look? I was like, what the of course, Bismarck people. I'm like, and she was like a younger gal. Anywho, that was that. Okay, I got back home and I took May to the vet on Tuesday because she has a couple medicines, but one of them, y'all, we need to inject into her with a needle. And first of all, that's freaky as hell. It's crazy that they just can give you these things and like you literally shoot up your dog. I'm like, that is just, I don't know. It seems wild to me. Well, they never gave us needles. We have the medication, but not the needles. So I set up an appointment for Tuesday at 1:30. I took Carter to work. And then at 1:30, I go to the vet and I walk up to the front desk and I'm trying to check in, but the front desk person is on the phone and I'm just waiting. And then I see the woman and Carter kind of described her to me. And I'm like, I think that's, and I saw her photo when I booked the appointment because I wanted to make sure I talked to her. And I also just wanted her to show me how to do it. Like, it was nice that they did forget the needles. That way I could go in. Well, I see her behind the desk and I'm holding May because there was a dog in the lobby and she gets so worked up and I didn't want her pulling on her leash or her harness. So I'm holding her and I'm like, hi. I'm like, and she's like, oh my gosh, I recognize, like, I just saw her this weekend. I'm like, yes, that was my fiance. And she puts out her hand to shake. Well, I'm holding May with my right hand. I'm like, oh, sorry. And I like transitioned May over and then I shake her hand and I was like, I never got the needles. And she's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. You drove all the way here. We forgot them. Let me go grab them. Well, she goes in the back and then she comes out into the lobby. I still haven't even like checked in. Like, I booked an appointment for 1:30, but I'm essentially here, for the needles, but I wanted to ask her to show me how to do it. Well, she comes out into the front lobby and she's like, here you go with the bag. I'm like, actually, can I bother you to show me how to do this? Like, my fiance told me, but I would just rather like know for sure, like see you do it and know what we're doing. And she's like, oh my gosh, of course. So we grab May and she did say, she's like, she looks a lot better. She's moving great. I'm like, yes, I know. She's definitely becoming more herself. But we sit on the bench, like we're literally in the lobby, you guys. She pulls out a needle. She sticks it in my medicine. She's like, okay, if the two of you are doing it, like one of you grab with both arms and then the other just grab the skin but she's like, if you do it by yourself, she's like, I would just, kind of not like a chokehold, obviously, but put your arm and then grab the skin with that hand. And she just shot May up right then and there. It's twice a week for 4 weeks. Therefore, she now, I guess that was like, she got a shot the day of, I think, when she was there. But our medicine, that was the first one. We have probably 3.5 more weeks to go. I'm not sure how that's going to go. But basically, you just kind of grab the skin on the back of her neck. It doesn't look that bad, but I'm also like, oh my gosh. And May didn't like wince or anything. Carter said when she did it, when he was there, like May was so drugged up. So it was just kind of like, what the fuck is going on? But she obviously was squirming, but she just is so worked up in the vet. I'm hoping that if Carter just kind of like not spring it on her, but we just grab her and pinch and like quickly do it, it'll be fine. But it is quite a process. Like, you have one needle or like the syringe, you pull out the water and then you put on a different needle. I don't know. I'm going to have to Google that because she did it so fast. And then I was on my way. She's like, okay, have a great day. I never checked in for my appointment. I never even spoke. I'm like, okay, whatever. They'll figure it out. I also wanted to change the information because Carter gave them all of his information because, they were able to see some things because through the VCA, but there was a lot of things they couldn't. I don't know. Anyway, all of the things are getting sent to him and the vet has been texting him asking like, how is May doing? Which the other VCA is great as well. Like the day after we were in, when I took her last week, they called, and then the day after they called just to check in. But that was that. Last night, you guys, Carter had a happy hour in Deep Ellum and he texted me during the day and was like, wait, why don't we go out to dinner? You can come and grab me because I had the car. He like went there with some of his coworkers, or he was like, I can Uber, whatever. But if you want to pick me up, then we can go and grab food. We went to Pecan Lodge, which if you're not familiar, Terry Black's is like the OG barbecue and it's the best. Pecan Lodge is also similar-ish vibes, but I don't know. People rave about it. We got nachos, we got fried ribs, we got burnt ends, and Carter had a brisket sandwich. It was good. The thing about me and Carter, and honestly, I kind of gave him a little scolding last night. Not that it's his fault at all. It's also my fault. But when we go out to eat, you guys, we are done in 30 minutes. Like, we eat so fast. I'm like, why do we go out to eat and then act like we're at a food competition? Like, the quicker we can get out of here, the better. Like, let's enjoy it. But he just had a full day of work. You know, he's in his suit. I was so hungry by the time I got there. And being in Deep Ellum, it's just a little bit sketchy, and there was a lot of construction, and I don't know, the vibes were not great. I was exhausted. I'm not sure what the fuck I did yesterday. I guess the podcast, I did do quite a bit of just like random things. I kind of got our life back in order, but that was that. I'm dying to talk to you guys about the secret lives of Mormon wives. If you have not watched the secret lives of Mormon wives, what are you doing? I actually just saw a statistic where it said 1 billion streams this past week. The second season came out. I texted my best friend Elisa. She told me way back when that she would give me her login because we canceled our Hulu. Therefore, we logged in, and Carter and I watched like 1 or 2 episodes, and then he was like, he likes it, but he doesn't. Like, he's not that invested. I want to watch it like ASAP. We watched a couple videos before, or episodes before I went to North Dakota, but then I went to North Dakota and didn't watch. I finished them, I think, on Monday. I want to run through the cast with you for those who have watched. So if you haven't watched, go watch the first season. And then this second season was amazing. It's honestly such great reality TV. And that is the thing we need to remember. It's reality TV. Some of the things are skewed. Some of the things are exaggerated. We don't really know these people. I just want to say, I also, FYI, am mutuals with some of these girly pops on TikTok and Instagram. Like Taylor, Frankie, Paul, and I follow each other on Instagram. And Miranda, who is new, we followed each other for a really long time on TikTok. And I'm trying to think, maybe that's it. But like, I don't know. It's just so interesting. But let me pull up. I want to give you my favorites in order. Number 1, Taylor, Frankie, Paul. She's just so raw and real. And I think obviously she's in this toxic relationship. Therefore, you just feel for her. We've all been in the relationship. She does now have 2 baby daddies, assuming she doesn't stay with Dakota. I love her. Okay, so she is my favorite. I'm going to go from favorite to least favorite. I would then say Jen. I love Jen. She's my second favorite. I think she's cute and I think she means well. There at the beginning of season 2, they tried to paint her in like a bad light. And like the things that we're talking about, they just like exaggerate a lot of things. And I get you have to do that in reality TV, but I'm like, she's not a bad person. Nothing she's doing is like harmful. Okay, she told these like little white lies, but the way that some of the girls were coming at her was a little bit crazy. At first, I didn't really like Jessie because she was friends with Demi. Okay. But now I really like her. Towards the end, I'm like, she's also like, I feel like she's chill. I feel like she's go with the flow. I feel like she's semi-normal. And obviously there's a huge scandal potentially at the end with her. And I don't know how that's all going to shake out, but I do really enjoy her. I then would say, honestly, you guys, Macy the blonde, she just is kind of blah. Like, you can't not like her. She's never done anything like problematic, but I also don't love her. She's kind of just there. I would say next, I enjoy Whitney. I actually like Whitney. She was kind of the villain of season 1, but I also didn't understand really why. Like, I didn't think anything that she was doing was that harmful. I don't know how so many people actually liked Demi from the first season. Demi was such a bitch then. She was the one coming at Whitney, and it was like, chill out. Regardless of how you feel, I feel so strongly that these girls, they're always like trying to hold their friends accountable. Are you holding them accountable, or are you just a bully? Like, to me, even if my friends did the things that these girls are doing, like, none of it is that fucking serious. And number 2, like, Demi is straight up just mean. Like, she was that way to Whitney in the first one. It was like, you don't have to come that hard. Like, you can be upset by things, but it was like attacking her. And I did kind of feel bad for Whitney. Like, I understand she didn't show up to the thing. And in this season, when they asked her, like, do you regret that? And she was like, no, because it's how I felt in the time. I didn't think that was a crazy response. Like, I feel like that's something I would say, because I am very much a person who like whatever I did in the past, there are things that I'm not proud of. For example, let's use an actual semi-similar situation, kind of, that I was talking with my grandma about. When my stepdad passed in 2021, he was in the hospital for a while before he finally passed and his liver failed. And my mom didn't do like a funeral then because everybody had come and saw him while he was in the hospital. And like all these people traveled from like different places and they were just there. And therefore she didn't do that. But somebody convinced her to do like a memorial a year later, right? And I didn't go. Okay. And my mom, like, she hung up on me. She screamed at me. Like when I told her about a month prior, I was like, I'm not coming. Number one, I did not enjoy that man. Number two, I did my part. Number three, and she had been bitching to me the whole entire time leading up to this thing, how she didn't want to do it. It's just going to be like all of his, you know, drunk friends, so on and so forth. And I'm like, then why are you forcing me to go? And I get, she didn't want me there for emotional support. She wanted me there so other people like saw that I was there. And I was like, I'm not paying $600 to come and go to this thing where it's all of his drunk friends and we're all talking about how great he was. I don't think he was that great. And looking back, no, I'm glad I didn't go. Do I feel bad? Did that hurt my mom's feelings? Yes. But similar, it was like Whitney didn't go to Jesse's like thing, and I wouldn't change like anything in my past. What I did, I can, you know, feel bad for hurting somebody, but if I made a choice in the moment based on what I was feeling, I stand with that choice. And I felt like that's what Whitney was saying. And everybody was like, she doesn't regret it. Does she not know the definition of regret? And I think, yeah, was it like she could have said she feels bad? And I felt like she did. I don't know. I just feel like everybody was like trying to paint her in a bad light. Those are just my thoughts. Okay, let me look at the other people. Layla, she kind of just is like barely there. This season, I feel like she was just like a production like plant. I saw a TikTok about this. Like she was the one who just like started stirring things and like the pregnancy roulette and all of that. Like I felt like she was just there to kind of spice things up. She really just like is there. I don't know. I don't have a strong feeling about her. Who do I have left? Oh, Miranda. I really enjoy Miranda. She wasn't like a big, I would stick her up further in my favorites. She has the best outfits. She's hot. And yeah, I enjoyed her. And obviously I'm mutuals with her, so I'm going to say that. Then Michaela. I never liked Michaela on the first season, and I don't like her now. I also like the way she comes for Whitney. I just think it's like, okay, grow up. I understand, but like she constantly is jabbing at her, and I know it's reality TV, so we need to take all of these things with a grain of salt, but it's like, girl, and she's just kind of negative. Like every single time she's talking, it's like negative or mean. I don't know. I understand she has the chronic illness. I know she's been through a lot. Oh, you know what else? She got pregnant at 15. She's still with her husband, same guy. He was 20. She had a child at 16 and he was 21. That is odd to me. And they touch on how she was like sexually abused as a child, like up until 13. I'm like, and then you got pregnant at 15 with a 20-year-old? That's weird. And I was talking to Carter about this. It's like when I was 20 years old, I didn't even know a 16-year-old. Like to people that don't think that's weird, I'm like, I literally didn't even, how are you in that? But Carter did say in the Mormon community, because it's so like you go to church like twice a week. It's very community. It's like you're so surrounded by the same people and things. And I don't know, but I'm like, did nobody think that was fucking weird that she got pregnant at 15 with a 20-year-old? I don't know all of the details, but that's crazy. And then my absolute least favorite, Demi. I didn't like her in the first season. I didn't like the way that she came at Whitney. And this season, she's literally just a bitch. And she is like, oh, I hate her. Also, I don't hate her. Okay, that's strong. I would never say I hate her. I'm sure she's a fine girl in person. It's reality TV. I get that. And I want everybody else to get that. But like the way she was like coming at Taylor and like trying to get everybody else to rally behind her. And everybody's like, we don't have a problem with her. And she's also just like making up shit out of nothing. Her husband, though, something else I found out, he used to be married to a real housewife of Salt Lake City. He's been on, I don't know if he was on the show then. I don't know all of the logistics, but he was married to a girl that used to be on or was on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Clearly, they both just like fame and like want all of that. I'm not about it, but y'all, it is so good. And I'm dying for the third season. I think it comes out in September because they obviously re-upped. They must be getting paid so much money. They have to be making, especially for this third season, 1 billion streams. I'm like, babe, I was telling Carter, I'm like, if Real Housewives of Dallas comes back around, I'm going to be on it. And like, you can make a contract if you don't want to be shown and our kids, that's fine. But like, if I ever get presented with an opportunity to be a part, I'm doing it. I love it. I also feel like I low-key would, like, if they wanted me to play and to be in the villain, I would do that. If they wanted me to be just like the personality hire, I would do that. If they wanted me to just be in the background, I would do that. Honestly, I think it's so incredible. It's like the best TV. I love it. If you haven't watched, I would highly recommend. Oh my gosh. Okay, 2 more things. I made a TikTok yesterday or 2 days ago about our rent, which you guys all know it went up to $26.50, and I just made like a funny quick little like, that's fucking crazy, because Texas, Dallas used to be like marketed as like cost of living, like low cost of living and affordable, and there are a lot of people in the comments that are like, it's never been affordable. I'm like, you've clearly never seen like any articles in your life or like known anything. When I moved here in 2019, like I saw so many apartments in like proper Dallas that were like $1,000 or $1,100. Of course, can you find a scary ass apartment where you're fearing for your life? I'm sure in the 12, 13, 14s. Sure. But a decent apartment in Dallas, Texas. I mean, look at our apartment. It's fine. Everybody was like, well, don't live in a penthouse. We live in a mid-rise apartment that's built in the 2000s. Yes, it was renovated, but it's like, we're not even living. We are paying 1000% for the location. And I understand that. And like, of course, honestly, the discourse on that video is great because it's making it pop the fuck off. But like, everybody's like, what's wrong with the suburbs? And I'm like, I just don't want to live there. Me personally, I'm not moving to bumfuck Texas. If you love the suburbs, I mentioned this on my story yesterday. People in Texas just ride for whatever they ride for. Like, I literally just said, like, we're looking for apartments. I don't want to live in the suburbs, so on and so forth. I understand I have like a aggressive way of speaking, but like so many people, I think it has like over 2,000 comments at this point. Like, some people are telling me that I shouldn't live in a penthouse. I live above my means, that I should just move to the suburbs. Oh my gosh, I paid $1,200 for a 2-bed in Mesquite. Yeah, you live in Mesquite. What are we talking about? I'm like, y'all will never get it. Or people telling me like, oh, move to Deep Ellum, the place that we went to eat last night. It's like, it's a scary place, but like, you can't say that, you know? But I'm like, I'm not looking to move to like a scary motherfucking place where I feel unsafe. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, people, be realistic. Anywho, I have coming up this week nothing. However, our lease renewal, speaking of, is due on the 4th or the 5th, which is I think next Tuesday or Wednesday. Me and Carter need to sit down and really figure that out because we haven't signed anything. We know that we don't want to stay here. That's a given. But we are also scared to like not have something locked down and then like having the lease us not renew and then we're fucked. Obviously we could find something, but that's the only thing we really need to do this weekend. And yeah, okay, you guys, I have one question that I'm going to get through on my Ask Me Anything, not my, and then we'll be done. Okay. Hi, Brenna. Literally love you so much. I'm an ND girly as well, North Dakota. Hi. How are you doing up there? And again, I need to like not come so hard for North Dakota. I also didn't really touch on like home was fine. I mean, there's nothing to do and we just sit around, but like it is what it is. If you love North Dakota, love North Dakota. I also have gotten hate because I've said stuff like that, like North Dakota fucking sucks and people are like, oh, it's the best. And I'm like, okay, to each their own. And that's the other thing about Dallas. If you like the suburbs, that's fine. That's amazing. I understand why people enjoy it. And it's also just like different lifestyles. Like some people like driving everywhere in a slower, you know, paced kind of life, which I don't think Dallas isn't like New York City. It's not like fast paced. Everybody's work, walk. But it's like, I don't know. I just like being around the city and close to things. And that's the other thing. People on that video were like, you know, it's only a 25-minute, like I live in Plano. It's a 25-minute drive to Dallas. Why the fuck would I want to drive 25 minutes? But I think a lot of people, you know, they work Monday to Friday, but they go out on the weekends and therefore they're only thinking of going to the city. Like maybe on Friday nights, like, no, I want to walk the Kitty Trail. I want to be able to like walk to get my groceries. It's not that I don't even go out. Like I'm not even living in the city to be close to the nightlife, you know, like again, we all just have like different fancies. Anywho, let's get back to to this. Anyway, the advice I'm looking for is to how to navigate a relationship that feels a little one-sided. I'm currently in a situationship due to us both being in college, and we are now apart for the summer. He wants me to visit and meet his family and friends, but the problem is that since we separated for summer break, it felt like our emotional connection has started fading. I brought this up to him, and he said he is going to try harder at being more emotionally invested because he wants this to eventually turn into a relationship. Sometimes it feels almost platonic when he does not give to me emotionally. Did I read that correctly? Sometimes it feels almost platonic when he does not give to me emotionally. How can I make sure that this relationship provides enough for me emotionally? Is emotional investment something that can grow, or is it one of those things that if it's not there, it's not there? Oh, this is such a great question. I feel like, honestly, if you guys decided to like break for the summer, I feel like you should kind of completely break. I do feel, and this is going to be like blunt and I apologize, like if he wanted to be in a relationship, like it would happen. I mean, you guys could be dating right now. Of course, you're not seeing anybody or like seeing each other, I mean, but like it's only, 3 months. I feel like it's probably just fading away like situationships do, or like relationships. Like if you broke up for the summer, I mean, you said you told him you want him more emotionally invested, but like, what does that even mean? What does that even like look like? I can't even, especially when you're long distance, like more texts, because how emotionally invested can you be when you're like not seeing the person? And, as time goes on, it's just like you kind of grow more and more apart. I dated a guy in college in Fargo. Hello, NDSU, go Bison. You probably might be a UND girl, but doesn't matter. I moved to Dallas and I was with this guy for like 2.5 years. And the second that I moved down here, like it was kind of the same thing. We talked about maybe doing a break or something. And then the more time that went on, I was like, this is not going to work. Like you just naturally are going to grow apart. You guys are obviously going to come back together in the school year. But if it's stressful and it's eating at you and you want him to be more invested, but you're not really feeling it, I would just say like, let's just like maybe, stop for the summer and rekindle in the school year. College is such a weird time. I would just like enjoy it with your friends, if you're working with your family, or just not take it that seriously and maybe emotionally invest less yourself. Unless he commits to a relationship right now, it's just like a weird situation to be in. You know what I mean? It's like long distance, but like you kind of broke up for the summer. Wait, let me reread this. Sometimes it feels almost platonic when he does not give to me emotionally. How can I make sure that this relationship provides enough for me emotionally? Is emotional investment something that can grow, or is it one of those things? I just feel like, yes, could it potentially grow? I'm not going to say that it can or can't, but I feel like if you're already feeling like not fulfilled, that it's probably not going to get better, especially as the summer goes on if you're not going to see him. Or maybe go on a trip, see how it goes, like go visit him for a weekend, maybe I guess Memorial weekend that just passed. I don't know how far you guys are apart, and see how it goes and like have a conversation. Like, what's the point of this? Like, or maybe realistically, you can't go there that often, and be like, why don't we just like do our own thing? Or, I guess take whatever he gives you for the summertime. Not that I think you should do that. I don't want you to accept crumbs, but it's like, how much could a person give when you're like long distance situationship? You know what I mean? I dated this guy. Oh my gosh, Nigel, God bless. We left for the summer. I was at Fargo. So he was from, you'll know these places. He was from like Rugby, and I stayed in Fargo, and we dated. And then we had a conversation at the end. He was literally leaving about like maybe taking a break. And then it just dwindled into the summer, which was like fine. Like looking back now, I'm like, no fuck. Like it was kind of this fling. I mean, it was kind of serious. Like we went on dates. Like we were very much, people knew that we were semi together. Again, college is such a funny time, but then it just kind of broke off. Same with, I think, like, oh my gosh, oh no, that was a different guy. That was that summer. Then I started like seeing this guy, but then when the school year started, he didn't go to my school, and it just kind of faded. I would just have more conversations. I just feel like if you're not feeling like it's emotionally fulfilling, then it's probably not a good thing. Like you can ask him to invest more, but like as your long distance, what does that even look like? If you can give him actionable steps, but it's also just like, it's such a weird time. You know what I mean? I hope that was helpful. Maybe message me and we can talk more about this with more details. But thank you guys so much for listening. Happy Friday. Next week is June. Sunday is June 1st. That's freaking wild. Do you guys remember how slow January went by and now it's June 1st? What the fuck? Anywho, I hope you guys enjoy your weekend. Thank you so much for being here. Honestly, you guys are the best. I love keeping up with you guys. And I'll see you on Monday. Okay, bye guys.